Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and today I'm going to review my big purchase from last week, the LG C9 65-inch OLED. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. You can also find me over Twitter and Instagram at Movie Guy 365, as well as over at the Disney Magic Hour podcast. I will go ahead and leave a link for that in the description. Okay, so it's finally here. So last week I decided, well, I've been thinking about this for the last few weeks, actually, kind of upgrading my current television setup. I previously had an LG B7A, and I'll be honest, I love that TV. I think it was a gorgeous looking OLED picture, everything I enjoyed about it, but the big downsize literally is it was a 55-inch. I know that's not a big deal or anything like that. It's actually quite large. But for movie-going experience in the home theater, I really believe you kind of need something above a 60-inch. So I opted to go for the 65-inch, not the 77-inch. I plan on doing something like that as a projector kind of thing in a future home theater when we end up moving in whenever. So I want to do like a big thing then. But in the meantime, I did want to upgrade my current OLED setup. So I opted to stay within the family of LG because I am a big fan. I became a huge fan of LG with the B7A. Now previously I've owned pretty much the majority of my televisions have been Sony. I did throw in a Panasonic LCD at one point, wasn't really happy with that one. But Sony's, while they look great, I've always had inherent problems with Sony's. I don't know what it was. It was from back in the monitor days, like excessive white bloom through the black picture. That always bothered me, and just things like that. I always had like kind of issues with a monitor from a Sony. So I decided to kind of try something new, and I went with an LG B7A at that time. I absolutely loved it. I had never really had any issues with it. Even the LG customer service was very good. So I decided, hey, you know, it's time to do an upgrade, and of course I want to do the upgrade for personal use, but of course because I review so much for the channel, I think it'll also help me catch those fine details I might otherwise miss on a slightly smaller television. So I opted to go with the LG C9 65-inch. Now, one of the cool things about this particular TV is because it is quote-unquote in the family, and it's only a generation or two behind the current gen, is I was able to do a lot of things calibrated wise. I mostly ported over my B7A settings as a starter point and did a little bit of fine tweaking here and there, but for the most part, it was just a matter of hitting all those HDMI ports with all my proper calibrations. Now for me, on this particular set, I do a lot of movie watching. I would say is about 80% of what I do, followed by video games and then a smaller portion of television. So a lot of those are, you know, calibrated for those particular things, and that made things easier because I just ported everything over from my LG B7A. And as I said, just a few light tweaks here and there, nothing too excessive. I do plan on doing what I did with the B7A and get it professionally calibrated in about 2 months or so. You need to get about 300 hours or so into your TV before you order professional calibration. I like those things even though you pay for it a good amount. It also helps me, you know, educate me as well as, you know, doing my own proper little tweaks here and there and that kind of thing. Plus I get to talk shop with the calibration guy. So I'll be looking for that, and I'll tell you about my results for that in a few months after that is done. But as it stands right now, my TV is completely calibrated to my liking for the present time, and I was able to check out a few movies. Now, I chose to go more with the movies that were native 4K, so that of course limits your options when it goes to 4K discs. But that being said, because a lot of times these discs are, you know, 2K upconverts, I want pure 4K. That way I could give it a good, oh, this looks, you know, comparison to the B7A. I see for the most part, the LG C9 definitely has a slight edge over what I would see in a B7 or like something like a C8 or, you know, lower. It's a great looking picture. Do I think it's a huge significant jump from the B7A? No, I don't. I think it's actually a very comparable, you know, image wise. They look fantastic. I always thought my B7A looked fantastic, properly calibrated. And I think while this looks spectacular, it's not a huge jump. It's not like going from, you know, a Nintendo to a Nintendo Switch or PlayStation or PlayStation 4. I would say it's definitely like between a PlayStation 3, you know, and maybe PlayStation 4 as different as that goes. Just little subtle things here and there. Of course, things like the menu and that sort of thing are definitely different. I actually prefer the look and feel of the B7A menus. I think the Magic Wand remote feels a little bit more twitchy in this particular model. I've adjusted it so it does apparently go slower, but it's still kind of like very hair trigger, whereas I felt like I got a nice little healthy balance on that remote on the B7A. At first it was very annoying, but then I got used to it and I made it a little bit of adjustments here and there, and I was happy with it. Sometimes that arrow would just pop up for no apparent reason, and it seems to do that all the time on the C9A. Even just subtle touches to the remote, it's like completely active. That's a little bit of annoying. One of the things I didn't like about the B7A, and unfortunately somewhat continues in the current LG models, is something called ABL and also ASBL, which is just, it's an automatic light dimmer, that kind of function. That's something that can only really be disabled in a service menu. And on recent viewings of the movie Shadow, I found that on the B7A to be very excessive. Like the picture would just completely dim for huge strength, lengths of the movie. And I put in that same movie here, and while it did happen, I feel it kind of corrected itself slightly better in this case. And then also just a pro tip for you guys that run into this problem with the LG OLEDs, you can just like play with your remote a little bit and then it'll go back to normal. That's kind of an annoying feature. I don't like that they do it. I understand why they do it because of burn-in risk and that sort of thing. But I never feel like I have a static enough image, even while playing video games, that would ever really be a problem. Plus you have things like pixel refresher and that sort of thing that seem to, combat those kind of risks or dangers to your OLED. Overall, I think the LG C9 is absolutely a great purchase. I'm excited. This was more of a size upgrade more than a quality upgrade. While there are a few tweaks that are, quality of life changes that I feel that the C9 does a little bit better, I think overall picture quality, it's a pretty comparable. It's pretty even, Steven. I don't really find, it was a huge, leap in that department. But as far as size-wise, of course, that's going to be the main attraction why I got this. Now, the audio-wise, I feel this is definitely better on the C9. The B7A always felt a little flat to me, and of course, you've got a OLED the size of a cell phone as far as width goes, and it's not going to provide the greatest amount of sound. But it was fine for TV viewing for me, and of course, I have the surround sound hooked up, so it was never really something I would deal with on a daily basis. But I feel the out-of-the-box sound directly from the C9 is definitely light years better. That's, I feel, a really significant kind of thing. And of course, one of the things that is was a determining factor for me picking up this particular TV was the potential of HDMI 2.1, which is something that is not really in use yet. But future 4K players, PlayStation 5, the new Xbox, those things will and should utilize HDMI 2.1. So it's a little bit of future proofing, which I really appreciate. And that was another factor which led me into getting this TV. So overall, I feel the LG C9 is an absolutely worthwhile upgrade. As far as size goes, yes, you definitely want to do that. But I feel that if you have something earlier, like let's say 2018 or later, that's something you might want to, think about a little bit before you do the upgrade. But if it's like 2016, 2015, and you're making a leap, absolutely. The LG C9 is the way to go. But, if your TV's only about a year or so removed, you might want to just really think about if you're doing the upgrade. Do it for size, do it for future proofing, but don't expect a huge quality of life as far as picture, versus picture goes. I feel they're very similar. All right, I love my TV. I can't wait to use it more in the future. Let me know in the comments below, what kind of TV do you have? Do you have an OLED? Do you have a QLED? What's your brand? All that kind of thing. Let me know in the comments. And in the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. I put out videos every single day. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.